Bronn's relationship with Tyrion Lannister was never rooted in loyalty in the traditional sense, but rather in a calculated exchange of value. From the moment they met, Bronn made it clear that his allegiance was tied to opportunity, not emotion. He fought for Tyrion in the Eyrie not because of belief in his innocence, but because Tyrion offered something tangible, gold and the promise of future rewards. This transactional foundation defined every interaction that followed, quietly shaping a dynamic that could never evolve into genuine loyalty. Tyrion, despite his sharp intellect, often projected his own need for connection onto Bronn. He treated him as more than a cell's word, extending trust and even camaraderie in moments where Bronn's motivations remained purely pragmatic. This imbalance created an illusion of loyalty that only existed from Tyrion's perspective. Bronn, on the other hand, never pretended to be anything more than what he was, a man who followed the best offer. As Tyrion's political standing fluctuated, so too did Bronn's proximity to him. When Tyrion held power in King's Landing, Bronn was a constant presence, benefiting from the privileges that came with serving the hand of the king. However, once Tyrion's influence diminished, Bronn's role became less certain. This subtle distancing revealed that Bronn's loyalty was never anchored to Tyrion himself, but to the advantages Tyrion could provide. Bronn's worldview was shaped by survival in a brutal, unforgiving world. Unlike noble-born characters who valued honor or legacy, Bronn understood that attachment could be a liability. His refusal to form genuine bonds was not cruelty, but strategy. Serving Tyrion was simply another move in a long game of self-preservation, where sentiment had no place. Tyrion's tendency to trust Bronn with sensitive tasks further complicated their relationship. While Bronn executed these tasks effectively, his reliability stemmed from professional competence rather than personal loyalty. He did the job because he was paid to do it, not because he believed in Tyrion's cause. This distinction, though subtle, is crucial in understanding why Bronn never truly served him. Moments of apparent loyalty, such as Bronn standing by Tyrion during dangerous situations, can easily be misinterpreted. In reality, these actions were calculated risks with potential rewards. Bronn was willing to fight alongside Tyrion as long as the odds and incentives aligned in his favor. The moment those calculations changed, so would his allegiance. Tyrion's exile marked a turning point that further exposed the limits of Bronn's loyalty. While other characters risked their lives to support Tyrion, Bronn remained behind, securing his own future in King's Landing. This decision was not betrayal in Bronn's eyes, but consistency. He had always prioritized himself, and Tyrion was no exception. The promise of titles and lands eventually drew Bronn deeper into the political sphere, but even then, his motivations remained unchanged. He aligned himself with whoever could elevate his status the most. Tyrion was once that person, but as circumstances shifted, so did Bronn's loyalties. Bronn's honesty about his intentions is perhaps the clearest indicator of his true nature. Unlike characters who cloak their ambitions in noble language, Bronn never hid the fact that he served for profit. This transparency, ironically, made him more trustworthy in a practical sense, but it also ensured that genuine loyalty would never take root. In the end, the hidden reason Bronn never truly served Tyrion is simple yet profound. He was never meant to. Their relationship was built on mutual benefit, not mutual devotion. Tyrion may have seen a friend, but Bronn only ever saw a contract, one that could be terminated the moment a better offer came along. Bronn's defining trait is his unwavering commitment to self-interest, a principle that consistently overrides any form of allegiance. While many characters in Westeros are driven by family, honor, or revenge, Bronn operates on a different axis entirely. His decisions are guided by what benefits him most in the moment and in the long term, making true service to any one person impossible. Tyrion, despite his cynicism, often underestimated the extent of Bronn's self-serving nature. He recognized it on a surface level, frequently joking about Bronn's love of gold, but he failed to fully grasp its implications. This underestimation led Tyrion to place a level of trust in Bronn that was never fully reciprocated. As Bronn's status improved, his priorities evolved. No longer just a cell's word, he began to see himself as a player in the Game of Thrones. This shift made his relationship with Tyrion even more transactional. Tyrion was no longer just an employer, but one of many potential stepping stones toward greater power and wealth. The introduction of competing offers further highlighted Bronn's true allegiance. When presented with opportunities that rivaled or exceeded what Tyrion could provide, Bronn did not hesitate to consider them. His willingness to switch sides was not an act of betrayal, but a logical extension of his core philosophy. Bronn's interactions with other powerful figures demonstrated his adaptability. He was able to navigate different alliances without becoming emotionally entangled, a skill that set him apart from many characters. This adaptability, however, came at the cost of genuine loyalty, which requires a level of commitment Bronn was unwilling to give. Tyrion's belief in Bronn as a dependable ally was rooted in their shared experiences, but shared experiences alone were not enough to forge true loyalty. For Bronn, those experiences were simply part of the job. They did not create a bond strong enough to override his instinct for self-preservation. The moment Bronn was offered a castle and a noble title, his trajectory became clear. These rewards represented everything he had worked for, and they came from sources beyond Tyrion. Accepting them meant prioritizing his own advancement over any existing relationship, further proving that his loyalty was always conditional. Bronn's lack of ideological commitment also played a role in his inability to truly serve Tyrion. Tyrion often fought for causes larger than himself, whether it was justice, survival, or political stability. Bronn, however, had no such motivations. Without a shared cause, their relationship lacked the foundation needed for genuine allegiance. Even in moments where Bronn appeared to choose Tyrion, those choices were influenced by circumstance rather than loyalty. If Tyrion happened to be the best option at a given time, Bronn would stand by him. But this alignment was temporary and could change at any moment. Ultimately, Bronn's story is one of pragmatic survival in a world where loyalty is often a liability. His relationship with Tyrion is a perfect example of how self-interest can mimic loyalty without ever truly becoming it. The hidden reason he never truly served Tyrion lies not in any specific event, but in the very nature of who Bronn is, a man who serves only himself. One of the most overlooked aspects of Bronn and Tyrion's relationship is how easily it can be mistaken for genuine friendship. Their sharp wit, shared humor, and countless moments of banter created the appearance of a bond that went beyond mere business. However, beneath that surface-level camaraderie, there was a fundamental disconnect. Tyrion, who often felt isolated within his own family, was naturally drawn to the idea of having someone like Bronn at his side, not just as a guard, but as a companion. Bronn, in contrast, understood the value of appearing friendly, especially when it strengthened his position. Tyrion's loneliness played a significant role in shaping how he perceived Bronn. Surrounded by betrayal and hostility from those who shared his blood, Tyrion was more inclined to trust someone who stood outside the rigid structures of noble politics. Bronn represented freedom from that world, someone who didn't judge him for his name or status. This emotional need subtly blinded Tyrion to the transactional nature of their relationship, allowing him to interpret professionalism as personal loyalty. Bronn's ability to mimic the traits of a loyal friend was one of his greatest strengths. He knew when to joke, when to offer advice, and when to stand silently in support. These behaviors reinforced Tyrion's belief that their connection was deeper than it truly was. Yet, for Bronn, these were tools, methods of maintaining a profitable and stable arrangement. His charm was not insincere, but it was never rooted in emotional attachment. There were moments when Bronn seemed to go beyond the expectations of a cell's word, risking his life in situations that appeared to benefit Tyrion more than himself. These instances often serve as evidence for those who believe Bronn was truly loyal. But a closer look reveals that these risks were never without potential reward. Whether it was increased status, future compensation, or simply staying aligned with a powerful figure, Bronn always had something to gain. Tyrion, for all his intelligence, struggled to separate Bronn's consistency from loyalty. Because Bronn rarely failed him in critical moments, Tyrion began to equate reliability with devotion. This is a common misconception, especially in a world where dependable allies are rare. Bronn was reliable because it suited him to be so, not because he felt any deep-seated obligation to Tyrion. As their journeys diverged, the illusion of friendship became harder to maintain. Physical distance and changing circumstances stripped away the daily interactions that had sustained their dynamic. Without those moments of shared humor and mutual reliance, the truth became clearer. There was no enduring bond holding them together, only the memory of a mutually beneficial partnership. Bronn's interactions with others further exposed this pattern. He displayed similar behavior with different figures, adapting his personality to fit the situation. This adaptability suggests that what Tyrion perceived as unique was, in reality, part of a broader strategy. Bronn did not reserve his friendship for Tyrion. It was simply how he operated when it served his interests. The absence of sacrifice is another key indicator that their friendship was never genuine. True friendship often involves giving something up without the guarantee of return. Bronn, however, never made a move that didn't ultimately benefit him. Even when he chose not to betray Tyrion, it was because betrayal did not offer a better outcome at that time. Tyrion's eventual understanding of this dynamic, though never explicitly stated, can be inferred from how he interacts with Bronn later on. There is less expectation, less emotional investment, and a clearer recognition of who Bronn truly is. This shift suggests that Tyrion came to terms with the reality that what they had was never friendship in the truest sense. In the end, the idea of Bronn as Tyrion's friend is more a reflection of Tyrion's desires than of Bronn's intentions. It highlights how easily perception can be shaped by need, especially in a world where trust is scarce. The hidden reason Bronn never truly served Tyrion is deeply tied to this illusion, because friendship, like loyalty, was never part of the agreement.